wanted to have open the public comment before? I know we asked last. If not, can we ask questions before you guys vote on anything? On a subject you guys voting on?
We moved public remarks to the end because a lot of the public comment and questions we had usually had to do with our agenda.
With what?
Usually had to do with our agenda, so we moved it to the end.
All right, like I said, if you guys are going to this issue, you're going to vote on anything. Could you give us some courtesy, have one of us ask a question if we don't understand something, or we want to add something before you vote? At least before you vote.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, plus we're just saying that.
Thanks, thank you.
Might be a minute. Going to give it just a couple more minutes because it is an early meeting. Okay, the time now is 5:05. We'll call our meeting to order. Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call vote, please?
Kevin Schultz.
Here.
Zach Tucker.
Here.
Herman Ferguson.
Here.
Mike Cunningham.
Here.
Jennifer Eden. Here. David Walker's absent.
Do we have any changes or approval of the agenda? I'll entertain the motion.
So moved.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next, hold on just a second. It's Trustee Walker. Doesn't look like he'll be here tonight. So item number 1 is approval of historic township hall survey. As we discussed at our last meeting, we decided that should put a survey out to our residents. After that decision was made, we knew that if we acted quickly, and we've heard time and time again that time is important, time is crucial, that we could get this in with our tax bill. And we contacted Carlisle Wortman, who our planner is. And they do a lot of surveys, and we asked them if they would prepare a survey for us. They just wanted to know what the scenarios were regarding, or the options. So we sent them to them, and they prepared a survey, and we have a draft here that you all have and that the board has. We just got it. It took a little bit of time since they had a short time to do it. So if the board wants a moment to take a look at it and read it, and we'll talk about it after that. Did you not have a copy, Ron?
No, I didn't.
I've got some here too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Usually comes in threes. This morning, yeah.
If you need tissue, we can get you some.
Thank you.
So the issues speak up.
Excuse me, is this an open discussion forum now, or are we waiting for something else?
We were allowing everybody to read this, and I just got a text from David Walker. He asked if we could take a 10-minute recess because he got delayed. So that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Mark, could we just ask like some questions on clarification only? For instance, I'm just curious, you know, you've got address and parcel ID and name. Is this one vote per property?
Yes,
So if I own 5 properties, I have 5 votes because I pay taxes 5 times?
yes.
But if I have one property and 3 people that can vote, we only get 1 vote.
That's correct.
That's pretty typical. Unfortunately, I do the same thing.
And if you rent, you're not getting one of these, if you're a renter.
No, but the owner will get that.
The owner of the rental apartments?
Yes.
So 1 vote for the whole rental unit?
Yeah, 1 per parcel ID.
Oh, very unfair. Actually discriminatory.
It's actually based on tax.
Yeah,
You pay taxes on 1 building, you get 1 vote.
yeah.
Yes.
What if you own property in the township and it's your second home? You pay property taxes in the township, but it's not where you vote for state elections or federal elections.
You'll still get a vote.
Appreciate that.
Trailer park can't vote. Only the owner.
So Mike, then, one more question, Mike, on this. Then if it's an address, you put an address, if it's a parcel ID, you use both.
You should do both.
Because some, like, some of my parcels don't have addresses.
Then just, yeah,
Then
just put
parcel
the
owns,
address.
okay.
Yeah, if you don't have the parcel number, if it doesn't have the parcel ID, just put the address.
Okay, what if it's got a parcel ID but no address?
Just put the
Either one
road,
works.
Right, put what we have.
Either one works fine.
but you have like Hogan Road or,
Yeah, on the road and then the parcel ID is fine.
you just won't have the.
It just doesn't have a physical address attached to it. Thank you.
I'm in the Tyrone section. Partial road, I think that's what we like.
But that's not right. That's discriminatory.
that. And then there's a private condo that moves it here.
Right, yeah, but see how that's number one option, is anywhere, not here.
Yeah, that's about here.
I know, sure, I think it's the three of us. So they're not even cash. No, I don't. People have to do most of it.
Because I'm assuming what you're gonna get is to work back. So
Right.
So I group home. It's supposed to be July 1st. I'm sure.
I apologize.
Take a brief minute to review the survey, we just got it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Could you have a golf cart around and have a good time?
That's right.
Sorry.
That's like my.
I didn't turn around.
On the other side.
Here.
Your marker?
Okay.
Thank you for that brief recess, and I'm sure that trustee Walker, sorry that he held everybody up.
I apologize. I assumed it was 7 o'clock. I just, just looked at it.
So let the record state that trustee Walker is present.
Thank you.
We've got through approval agenda, and we were discussing
You might say present, but tardy, that's fine. So I can live with that.
approval of the township hall survey that was prepared by Carlisle Workman, which is our planner that prepares lots of township surveys. There was a couple of comments that had just came up. Who's getting the survey? We're mailing that out to everyone who has a property. It's gonna go out with the tax bill. We figured that that was fair and equitable. We know that there are renters in the community, but, you know, renters come and go, but the one that will be ultimately responsible for making this payment will be the parcel owner, so. We get to send this out with our tax bill. It's gonna cost us about $450, so under $500. If we were to pay the postage on the 4,400 parcel to send it out, it would cost us a lot more than that. So we talked to the people that do our tax bill, and they said that if we got it to them tomorrow, that they would get it in. That's why the short notice and the meeting. So we sent the scenarios over to Carlisle Wortman, and as of 4:50 today, and we received this final version of the survey. So now that everybody's had a chance to take a look at it, any comments, thoughts? Did we leave something out? Is it fair? Is it equitable?
Mike, did they say how much, like typically how much on a survey that people will send back? Because I've seen it's been anywhere from 12 to 15% return.
You know, he says it varies, but, you know, I can't remember, what, did he say
He
it
said
now?
20, but he said
20?
sending it out with the tax bill should get it 20.
Yeah, you should get 20, and they said that statistically, 20% return is a pretty good idea of what's gonna happen, so. We did a survey, Terry, our last survey that we did, we had a pretty high turnout on that, wasn't it?
You know, I didn't think it was even 20%.
No,
We had a lot, but.
I remember them saying that they got more than we had expected. And statistically, they said that it's pretty accurate, so.
We are including on the envelopes, tax bill and survey included. So there'll be notification on the outside of the envelope.
So they'll know to look for it when they open it up.
Do they have a postage return, or do they have to use their own envelope and stamp?
They're gonna have to use an envelope and stamp. If you look on the back, it has, you can literally fold the survey, tape it or staple it, and it's going back to Carlisle Wortman. They're gonna tabulate all the, all the results.
And it looks to me also like there's an option to email it or drop it off at the township hall too, correct?
Correct. And we know that people are going to drop it off at the town hall, even though we want it sent to Carlisle Workman. And we're just gonna have them put it in a lockbox, and then when Zach gets here, he'll open it up and take it with him. So we'll put something out in the lobby.
So on the survey, Mike, once that comes back, whatever the citizens decide, that's what's gonna happen, correct?
Well, we have to decide what's gonna happen.
Okay.
You know, this is just an indicator for us to say, hey, this is what our residents want. And then it's for us, up to us to decide what to do from there.
Okay. What I was wondering, Mike, before when we discussed this, if we raise the money and not use any taxpayers' money, if we even need to do a survey, that if we had enough people that were going to come up with the money to move it, could we do that without doing the survey?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we can discuss that, but I think the survey will let us know where our residents stand.
What's the timeline on the survey? So it goes out with the tax bill?
It's due August 2nd,
Okay.
so it'll give them a good, I mean, I don't think we're
Time
gonna,
takes fine.
I don't think we're gonna push away free money.
Yeah, I understand.
Right.
No? So, I mean,
Yeah, if they wanted to.
sure.
I was just wondering how many people on the board actually want to see it on the property. You know, if it was raised, you know, without using taxpayer money, zero taxpayer money. Because you and I discussed that, and David mentioned it to me, and also Kurt, we don't want to use taxpayer money. And if taxpayers want to donate, then that's free, up to them to do. Then we
Right.
could move it.
I don't think a vote is required because it's really not an agenda item, but,
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that the board's opposed to entertaining options here, hence the fact that we're doing a survey, so.
Okay. But this is not gonna be, once it comes back and say we only had a certain number of people, and this is it, this is what they want, so that's what we're gonna do, like if it says keep it there.
You know, a survey's a tool,
Okay.
and, you know, just put it out there, see what returns, and see what people say. And then it's up to us as a board to decide what it is that we're gonna do. So, any other thoughts, comments? Any additions, deletions, changes?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and take a question.
I'm just wondering, Herm's option that he brought up isn't listed on the survey as far as moving it with donations to this property. Could that be an addition? An additional item put in?
Do we have the money in the bank?
Well, I'm just saying, it says that, money can be raised if it was sold for $1 and moved to any other property. But the option of having the money raised and moved here wasn't on the survey. I'm just wondering if,
So I
because
think
that was
this,
the option that Herm brought up.
if I may, I think the solution to that would be to bifurcate the third option. And if you look at the third option, you would bifurcate that. So in one option, you would say at the cost of the township. And add the next one, which is exactly the same wording, but as a result of funds raised by the public. And you would just bifurcate that question.
Or a third option, joint, public-private combo of some sort.
Well, we're trying to keep the survey down to 5 pages or less. No, I understand your point, but it's just multiple, yeah, you could, I mean, yeah, I'm okay,
I'm
I'm
not
okay
opposed to
with.
it, but,
splitting
so
it.
let's say that answer comes back and the funds don't show up. I'm not saying that they won't. But then what happens to our survey if the funds don't show up?
Well, you can't do it if the funds aren't raised, it's just that simple. If that's the direction.
So then,
it's taken,
then where are we? Would be my question.
then it remains as it is, and nothing changes it then.
Yeah, I think you stick to what the contract says today.
Yeah, it doesn't change.
Such a date in reverse to the,
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to ask the question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question is, I'm always looking at the end result. What's the end game if it comes back that way?
It's part of if we have till November of 2020, or 2022.
You know, let's not put a hard timeline on it, because I think we have a property owner that's willing to work with us.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, everyone keeps wanting to throw this hard timeline out there.
I don't think it changes much as compared to where if you were to sell it to the society for $1 and they have to move it. I don't think there's much difference between that scenario and us
Yeah,
raising the
and the only
money
question
to
that I'm
move it
asking,
here.
yeah, the only question that I'm asking is, what validity do we have in our survey is if they say they want it moved through donations and the donations don't occur, then we just shot ourselves in the foot, so to speak.
Not really.
Well, but if we sell it, if they sell it to the society for $1, they have to,
I mean,
because now we've sold the building,
We can
right?
put the
I'm just saying, we've
language in.
sold the building,
I mean,
right?
I'm not saying that we're not gonna put the language in, I'm just saying what happens in that scenario.
And again, I'm trying to explain a parallel that if you were to sell it to the Historical Society for $1, now the township has sold that building, right? We no longer control it as a township.
Right.
What if they can't run the funds to move it? That scenario is no different
Then it
than
would
putting
stay
out
there.
the same thing as, what if we raise the money and move it to here?
Yeah.
Either way, that's gonna shoot us in the foot just as bad as if we do it, we put the question, can we raise the money ourselves and move it here? The biggest difference is at that point, at least you still own it. You
Well, I
have the
think we
right to,
can't sell
you have the
it
right to give
unless
it back.
they have money to move it. We wouldn't be able to deed it over to them for $1 unless they have the money to move it at that time.
Yeah.
It still has to remain in the township.
Yeah.
So there would be the same scenarios if we say, okay, whoever's gonna raise the money, and we're gonna move it here. If we can't do it, then it remains to the township, and it goes back to the original agreement, I guess.
One concern I have with that too, when we submitted our proposals, that we wanted to have these discussions because grant funding was part of the fundraising as well, which we really can't do unless we have a collaborative plan. So I'm just putting that out there.
So what would you like the suggested language to say, David?
So what I'd suggest we do on the third question, you would add the old, as I say this, y'all correct me as we go because I'm doing this on the fly. Not to mention the fact that my blood pressure is probably like 180 over 127. So I would say the old historical townhouse should be moved by the township to the new township office location. Such a move would cost roughly $100,000 to $200,000, but may cost more. Funds to be provided by, and then you would fill in the blank for the next 3 questions, right? So, and that, meaning they would be the same question, but it would be with 3 different options. One option would be that the township fund this entirely. Option 2, with this would be funded by private funds. And third would be a private-public combination.
Okay.
Let's make it better for you.
Did you get that, Terry?
Do not ask me to repeat.
We have it recorded. Twice.
With that change, I will make the motion to approve the town hall survey with that addition.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the old historic townhouse survey as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Mike, on that property owner thing, the tax ID, gets a vote for each tax ID he's got. Okay, I got a guy here that's got 5 properties. Say it's worth $1 million, he's paying the tax base on $1 million of properties. And I got a guy here's got 1 single property paying tax base on $1 million home. He gets 1 vote, that's not fair. I mean, I understand where you're coming from on that, because, you know, they're gonna be hit hardest if we do get if the township taxpayer does pay for it. I know where you're going from, but you got a large taxpayer here, a guy here, they're both the same. One guy's got 5 properties, one guy's got 1. You're gonna tell that one guy he'll have 1 vote against the guy that's, and he's got equal debt. I'm just saying, I understand, I'm accepting what you're saying.
Right.
But you gotta be fair along the line.
Well, you can find inequalities in any scenario, I'm
Right.
sure, but we're trying to be,
So the guy who
we're trying to be
gets most votes.
proactive, we're trying to be responsive, we're trying to be equitable.
I mean, I would think that if I owned a piece of property and I didn't have the same value of voting as that guy with 5 properties and I own more in value,
You know,
I pay
Scott,
more taxes, I would kind of consider.
Stop you right there. I would say if this survey gets really, really close, then maybe we have a discussion on scrubbing those. But let's see what happens
Fair
first.
enough, fair enough.
You know, we're putting outcomes and scenarios.
Yeah, I just
you know.
wanted to bring it to you.
Yep. We're
Thank you.
we're aware of it.
I promise I'll only fill out 1.
What?
I have more property in this township. I promise I'll only fill out 1.
Thank you.
If that wasn't public comment though, why do some people get to comment and others don't? I mean, so you just made a vote, some people got to say things and others didn't. Why it wasn't
That was
public
just-
comment?
yeah, it was just a
People will
vote
raise
on
their
it.
hand when we had that few moments and then
You
nobody
didn't
else
say it
raised
was
their hand.
public comment.
I said I would entertain a few comments, and I did. Or a few
Yeah,
questions.
You guys haven't voted on the whole thing, you just voted to change that one,
We voted to approve.
No, we voted to approve that.
It's done.
I misunderstood what you were.
Yeah, so it's not.
Just thought-
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, and folks here, I don't know what the questions are about voting. This is our representative of the township, these people out there. They've been elected or appointed to represent us people in the township. It's just like any other elected official. This is a discussion about a survey right now, so there's no necessary discussion about who gets to vote. He is entertaining some comments, but we're not voting on whether we move the township hall or not. So it is a survey, and I like David Walker's input, because surveys can be written in a lot of different ways. And I think some of the questions, I mean, some of these kind of continue to lead to a similar thing of, it's gonna cost us so much money, I'm gonna say no to all of them. Strongly disagree with having the township government body involved in this. It's a survey to get a feeling about the residents of the township. And just like all of us sitting here tonight, we can come to all these meetings. And if the overwhelming response to the population, I think this board is going to take that under heavy consideration before they go against what the populace is going to say. So I don't think this is a meeting about all of us voting on something here. These officials here are to do our duty, to do a job, and they're going to take what this township population will generally go with. I've been through many of these things. happen. We've informed members of the population about what we're going to do. We had some great responses because people showed up to discuss it and discussed it, and we hosted the survey. So tonight, we're talking about a survey. The next step, and as Mike said, when the surveys come back, they're going to take it into consideration. It doesn't mean it's going to go one way or the other until this board discusses it. So they're here to do this duty. I think we should at least get started in that way. And a lot of things have happened in communities where population speaks up and the government officials take notice of that. So I'm putting the faith in the board, but I'm also putting the faith in the population to come to the meeting and voice their opinions. That's what we need.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, approval to purchase Zoom equipment using PEG funds. I know that we've attempted to expand our Zoom capabilities. Our tech was here. When we tried it last time, we found that we needed to buy some new equipment. So PEG is grant money that the township manages from cable franchise, or not cable, can't franchise fees, but cable PEG fund fees. So it will be no, additional cost from the general fund, so it'll be a grant to it. The items are listed. We need about, 35 items here, and the cost for that is $2,745. We know that Zoom is going to be here to stay. We use it not only for future township board meetings. Next time there's COVID restrictions, I'm sure we'll be back under Zoom again. We also use them for meetings with county and other municipalities as well. Supervisor meetings, clerks meetings, treasurers meetings. So it's a valuable tool. Also, a lot of training that we're seeing and doing now is via Zoom. So it'll be a much better format that we can work together as a group. So,
Mike, can I have one of those outdated to get money or just look at
No, I
it?
read one.
of
I read
the,
mine when I got this one.
which one you want?
Just that one.
The equipment one?
Yeah, please.
This is unchanged from the packet that was provided this morning.
Yes.
That is correct.
So, in the spirit of moving along, unless you're like good.
Okay, we're
So,
waiting.
yeah.
Okay.
So moved with the amount not to exceed the amount indicated in the estimates provided.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the PEG grant request. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next is item number 3, approval to purchase 5 replacement computers. Usually we do 2 or 3 a year, but because of COVID, we didn't replace any last year. The computers that we have are no longer supported because of their age, they're over 5 years old. These new computers will also include Microsoft 360 Enterprise, which is also formerly known as Office 365 Pro Plus. They'll be supported for 3 years through IT Right. They build these computers, they bring them here, they hook them up, they make sure everything's been downloaded and transferred to the new computer. And the 5 of them is $4,620. We have a couple right now that are not doing well, and one of them is on the verge of a blue screen, so we need to get these here as soon as possible.
So,
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the purchase of new computers. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Miscellaneous business, none. I'll go ahead and open up public remarks. Could you will raise your hand. Would you like to step up to the podium so we can hear you, please? Thank you.
Well, I'm asking my question now because I did not realize that the public remarks were welcome earlier. One of the questions on the survey says such a move would cost roughly $100,000 to $200,000, but may cost more. And I want to know how we know that at this point in time.
We asked our engineer.
And does a newsletter for the township go out with the tax bill?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Pertaining to the same question, okay, the estimate, how was that formulated? Did you have official quotes from official moving? Or do you just pull this out of the air? How was that, how do you come to that?
I called our engineer.
Okay,
I asked him, give me an idea of what you think it's gonna cost, ballpark, based on your experience and in moving buildings and such. And he goes, yeah, it's gonna cost you anywhere between $100,000 and $200,000. I said, okay.
so if hardcore estimates came in that were lower, would that be acceptable?
Well, I don't think that we've got a complete estimate of everything yet. That's why we left it up to the expertise of a professional engineer.
Okay.
So, I mean, we know that it's $50,000 just to put it on a trailer. And another $50,000 is easily spent because we have ADA compliance, we have steps, we have demolition. Yeah, I don't think that his quote was egregious in any form. I think it was fair.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
My name's Albert Bordon, 9226 Mabley Hill. I find this position a little awkward because I'm trying to speak to you, but at the same time, seated about 2/3 of the way back, very difficult to hear, very difficult. My hearing's not like it used to be, but the one question I would like to ask about this particular item on the agenda, part of it deals with the Historical Society purchasing. That was one of the options.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why the township would not want that building moved to this address? According to this, the options, one of the options, it was like the building could be moved to another location except here. Do you know why that was included?
I think the narrative, I know you're new to this, the narrative all along has been discussion about moving it here. Is there?
I think that this, am I in the error on the Historical Society?
Well,
Any location other than 8420?
That's if they want to control.
If they want to move it and be in charge of it. But
Could
the
they
township
choose,
hall, we
could
could
they
still
choose to bring
move
it here? Could they choose to bring it here?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Is that the way this reads? Other than this location?
I think it's covered by the additional questions that were added to the survey.
Okay, but out of all the options that you're asking people to consider, one of the options says that they would have the ability to move it anywhere but this location.
That is one option.
Okay,
Does, refresh my memory, trustee Walker, did your amendment to the questionnaire include that it could be moved here?
He didn't speak to that. I honestly didn't speak to that at all.
Valid point, thank you.
So that is an option.
you know, I'm visualizing myself setting that
Yeah,
motion,
sure.
getting this survey, and out of all the options, if I were to choose this one, it appears to me that the society has the ability to move it anywhere they want, obviously,
Sure.
because they own it. But it says specifically not to this location. And my question would be to you, is there a reason why you don't want it here?
No.
Then I guess my request would be that maybe this language would be modified so that
Yeah, you know
it
what?
wouldn't exclude.
Yeah, I'm writing that down, so what we'll do is we'll finish taking public comment, and then I will ask trustee Walker if he cares to withdraw and restate his motion for approval of
Okay.
the survey. But,
I mean,
yeah,
that was something that I was trying to decipher from the back.
okay. Well, I'm glad we got there.
Okay, thank you. The one other thing I guess I would like to say in closing, I'm not exactly new to this, but having lived in the township for most of my life, I guess I've kind of taken it for granted. As being a next door neighbor to Dave Kurtz for many years, I could get my information directly without having to attend a meeting, and I realize that's not an excuse. But having sat just a few moments in the back, I find that this counter, from back there, this counter is so tall that literally a couple of faces cannot communicate to the people of their district. I would suggest, if nothing else, lower it. I see no reason why we need to have a wall between the constituents and the board, and that's really what that is a wall. And that wall is so tall that there's a couple people on this board, we can't even see you. And I gotta believe in the era of time that we live in now, not having a sound system. This is not a large room, but to be honest with you, so many people speaking and reading from their own notes, from their papers, speaking to each other. We missed almost everything back there. And that's one of the reasons why there was confusion about when there would be an open session for comments. A little sound system would go a long way here, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that's part of where our new equipment is, because they're having problems with the sound.
Okay, that's
They
great.
do have mics, you can see.
We do have mics, listen.
But they sure,
Look at that.
but they sure work.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
my point. That's my
Yeah,
point.
I think, and some of that equipment, I believe, is in
And
this.
I think the wall would be an easy fix. Table height so that you could see us and we could see you. Just a suggestion.
Yes.
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. I'd like to have a consensus here of who decided to take out the public comments. And the one, I don't know, I've never been to a meeting, but the board decided that. We have the public comment in the beginning, then one end, we've had that for decades. I've come to these meetings for decades. I mean, I can handle the public comments, we take it away at the beginning, Mike did allow some questions like I asked him, but there were some other questions that wanted to be answered before you guys, and I misunderstood the vote. I thought you were voting on changing. I didn't know it was gonna be the whole thing. So anyways, I think things have been handled a little bit. No one's howling and screaming this time, which is nice. I think we can do this as a public, and I am concerned about some of the language in there. I just think that we could do a little bit better. And the whole survey, and I know they're working on it, so we're gonna have a bigger survey going out. This is just an idea of what's going in the survey.
This
This
is
is-
the top of
yeah.
the survey.
Yeah, but there's, we're
And
not
we'll
asking
still
other
have a
questions.
master plan survey.
Yeah, just, we have
Yeah.
the master plan
This
survey.
one we kind of wanted to get out, we knew that we could get it in the
Yeah.
tax bill.
So we're not gonna have that in this survey.
And if we put this in the master plan survey, it's months down the road, and
All
we
right.
didn't want it sitting around,
All right.
just spinning on the rim, so to speak.
All right. A lot of people don't know about our roads. I mean, one of the questions in there was about funding the roads. What people don't realize here is the county was set up to handle the roads. Township was never fixing the roads. It was the county's responsibility. We've taken that over, a lot of it. And out of that, we're taking over cutting trees down so we don't get fire winds. It's ridiculous. I mean, we're not putting salt on the roads in the winter because we have mild winters. Where's that money going? I've had power outages twice this month. I was praying to God I didn't have another one yesterday. In fact, I told you last week, the tree in front of Don's old place was still sitting along the curb. Big logs like this. The fire department came out, you weren't there 10 minutes, pushed it all over the curb, put the cones down, and now they're all sitting there, all tumbled all over the place. Someone probably hit the logs too. That was a week ago I told you guys that. And it's still there. I mean, a week. It's a curve. Someone can hit that and get killed. And it's in the right of way. It's not on the grass. It's actually on this side of the curve.
Wouldn't that be the road commission's?
Well, whatever, I just notified the township. I notified you, I figured we did, the wires, everything's hanging over the wires, I notified us. There's gotta be a lot, but we've taken on the duties of the county. And the county said, well, we're not gonna be in the police business anymore, we run a jail. Well, since I've been here, the county sheriff's handled all that, we never saw the state police. So the county's dumped off the police duties to the state police. The county's dumped off all the roads to us. What does the county pay for anymore? They take our taxes and they hand back to us what they think we need to run the township. They dictate what we need to run the township. We get a certain percentage back. People realize that. But they just keep dumping on us. And you guys should make them accountable.
I'm Margaret Melville, I live on Old Oaks Drive. And I would just like to suggest, when the other people were talking about this Run Your Lake location being specified, I think that question could read, the Historical Society can then raise funds and move the building to any location, period. There's really no reason to say they desire other than Run Your Lake.
Yeah.
Why does that have to be specified other than?
Well, we're not there yet, but I think the simple solution to wordsmith this would be to take out the words, oh shoot, I drew it from that here. Would be to take out the words other than and put in there including, so that you get the idea, to basically to bolster the fact that I don't think the township board, I'm only one of 7, bear that in mind. I don't think anybody on the board has a problem with locating that building here. I really don't. I don't think anybody is averse to that. And so that way it would be, they could move it anywhere, including 82 Forded.
Okay, and I think that's.
I think that's a
that
simple
should be an
solution.
option.
Yeah, we've already.
No, that's what we're
I
gonna
think trustee Walker's already,
already got it written down.
decided that he was gonna amend his, motion to include some new language.
Nope, I'm good. I'm good now. Thanks.
In the past, we have not had villages to take care of that building. And this indicates that now if we move the building, we have to have villages to take care of it. Why would we have to have villages now? We've never had it in the past to maintain the building. Actually, the way I feel is, as I start reading these questions, the first questions are very fair, but then you're building a scenario on anti. We're talking about 100 to 200,000 or even more money. As a taxpayer, I'm getting a heavy feeling, like, oh my gosh, what do they expect? And as we read on down, the questions, I feel more and more like the questions become more anti-moving the building, anti-keeping the building as township property.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jeanette Rapetta, Fuller Drive. I'm not sure if I'm going to read all of this, but one thing I did want to mention about that number that you have, what does it say, 200,000 or more?
No, 100,000 to 200,000, but may cost more.
But may cost more. When we met with the township's engineer, the meeting that you called, Mike, that you didn't come to, and he sat with us and met with us, and we came to a couple conclusions. He did not say that number. I believe he said 100, maybe 150, he said. So in a couple days, his numbers changed. I don't know, I'm just saying what he told us. I'm just going to say this for the record, and again, I'm not saying this on behalf of RCP. As many of you know, that I stepped away from being on that board, that I'm pursuing other things. But I love RCP and I love everything that they're doing, and I'm looking forward to helping with things that they're working on because I believe in their mission. But the residents deserve to know that a nonprofit called RCP, group of volunteer residents, sent a solid plan to all members of the board. I don't know, was the planning commission also? Did they get them? Just the board. This plan included moving the townhouse, raising the money needed, and generating income through utilization of the townhouse. It was stated several times that the plan was a flexible one, and that the residents wanted to work with the township board, wanted to help the board. This plan was created by the nonprofit group, RCP, but you've continued, this is to Mike, you've continually ignored that plan and refused to meet with this group to discuss it, proclaiming that it's too early in the process, but yet now you say it's time to include options that you have on this particular survey. So my question is, and I know that you're not going to answer questions, but I'm just stating for the record, why are there no questions in the survey that reflect the project plan, hundreds of hours that were spent by volunteer residents, a plan that was sent to you and the whole board? During a board meeting last week, number 2, several residents and one board member asked you to please include we, the people, in the conversations about the content for the survey. We had no idea that this was going to be rushed, that there would be a meeting 5 o'clock, 2 business days notice, and people that can't get here, even still, we did get a good turnout. So just wondering why we can't be included. And now you see that we're actually helping to revise that, but we could have sat with you or at least had conversation about it. And one of the other questions I have is, how much has this survey cost so far? I'm curious to know what that cost is, because we could have come up with this all together. I won't repeat again that the survey, well, I'll just mention it again. I don't agree that people who are renting should not get a say in this. There's people that are lifelong renters here that choose to rent. I understand what you're saying about how you've always done things and the way that it works, but I find it very unfair, and I think that the residents should know that as renters, you will not have a say in this. Number 4, approximately 3 weeks ago at the board meeting, you promised to create a committee pertaining to saving the historical townhouse. We waited for that announcement, and we waited, and we waited, and there was never anything said about it. So I'm wondering why that committee hasn't been created. Final question, it does have to do with the township's engineer that you had us meet with. And he told several residents in the meeting that the townhouse could be moved. that he'd be happy to help us develop a more succinct schedule and budget. We waited all weekend. We were really excited about it because we had such a good meeting with him and wondered what your next move would be. And as far as we know, he was told not to communicate any further about it. So we want to know why. And the residents really deserve to have an answer regarding that. And that's it.
Anyone else?
I'll speak. Sarah, New Jersey, Fulton Crossing. It's getting a little redundant. First, I wanted to mention a couple things about the survey. So when I read this, and maybe I missed it, are residents supposed to choose something from each option on that varying scale, or are they supposed to select just one? I just want to make sure the directions are crystal clear for somebody opening this with their tax bill. Did I miss the directions?
It says circle 1 by each question. Very last. It says circle 1.
Okay, so, oh, I see that. Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Yep.
So for each one, you circle an option. Yes, got it. Okay, thank you. Also, will it be available online? Is there going to be an option for that? Do you know?
Not online.
And if not, I'm just wondering if we can ask Carla Wortman about that option, because if somebody doesn't want to spend a stamp, that might improve your response.
They can take a picture of it and send it by email.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had that discussion about online, and a lot of our seniors are not online.
Right.
And we still have a lot of residents that don't have internet access, and we
Yeah.
figured that if we did that, we'd be leaving out a segment, so.
Well, I don't think it should be all online. I'm just saying, if you're trying to get the most feedback, then that might be an option to consider. I don't know what it would cost, if anything, to do it that way. It's just a question I had. So, I also want to support Margaret Melville's point, because I had the same feeling as I read through the survey. It sort of leads you with its own bias to the conclusion that it's going to end up costing people a bunch of money. It's moved here. So if the board is revisiting that through Mr. Walker's wordsmithing, maybe that's something that could be discussed. I also, when you read the survey, it just, again, it took a resident speaking up to say that the private funding option to move it here was even an option, and Mr. Walker. And I'm just expressing to the board my disappointment that you guys aren't speaking up. I mean, we sent the proposal to all of you, right? I've met with every one of the trustees or talked to them by phone. There's nobody sitting up here that doesn't know what we've asked. But yeah, we sat through the board meeting last week when 2 proposals were thrown out as options, and nobody brings up the fact that we're offering to pay for it. We're offering to raise awareness. We're offering to help. And there was this idea of a committee weeks ago. There's no committee. There's no engagement in the collaboration, and that is hugely concerning to me as a resident. I don't understand it. I don't know why it's being approached this way. It's not the way I see other communities working around us. And I need to say that piece bothers me greatly. So that leads me to my final point, which is, I don't know the status of this committee. Now there's a survey going out. I'm excited to see what the residents say. But let's just say hypothetically that the community does want the building moved, and they do want it moved here, but they don't want the taxpayers to pay for it, which is my guess. I don't know. So then what? Then are we going to collaborate? Are we going to sit down? Are we going to plan together? And what's that going to look like? So I would just ask you to think about that. And I would just encourage the board to open up dialogue a little more, speak on behalf of your residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, being that there's none, we'll close public comment. And before I take a motion to adjourn, Trustee Walker?
Yes, who was Terry, who seconded that motion when I made that change?
I did.
Zach.
I did.
Zach, are you okay with that amendment?
Yeah, in fact.
If the seconder is acceptable to an amendment, the amendment that I would recommend is that we change the language in the second question in the survey. And I think this, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm gonna read it out loud so that we've got a clear understanding of it. And I'm gonna read it with the change in. That makes sense? And so my recommendation is we pull out the language other than and just revise that to including. So I'm going to read it now. The old historical townhouse should be sold to the Tyrone Township Historical Society for $1, period. The Historical Society can then raise funds and move the building to any location they desire, comma, including 8420 Running Lake Road. They can maintain it, use it, make available for the public use. No other changes other than that. If the seconder is amenable to that.
It's consistent with, my thought was the addition of that range of options in the collaborative effort sort of captured that, which was the reason for my comment. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Agreed.
And so moved.
In support, if I'm mistaken.
Is it too late for one more question?
Go ahead.
I think when you revised question number 3, you gave 3 ways that the funds could be provided.
Correct.
Was one of those options, would you read those 3 options again?
No, because
It is
Terry.
Paid
Because
for
it looks
by
like-
township funds, entirely paid for by township funds, private funds, or private/public combination.
So it's public,
And
private, or combination?
Correct.
Right.
Is there any way you can note what private funds might include from nonprofit organizations? I mean,
I think the statement's inclusive of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's 2 questions.
okay.
I don't know, question.
Yeah, it's worded, so that would be inclusive, yes. Thank you. All right, point of order, we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thanks, everybody, for showing up tonight. Your comments. Thanks, board.
Okay. It's like,
Well, that's the issue. And I don't think we can see that. Yes, I really don't. Because they don't have the money to pay for the insurance. That's right. That's right. And so